Hi investigators, Mike Evans and Casey Pine here again with episode 103 of SpyCurious. Hi Casey, how are you this week?
Hi Mike, I'm very well, thank you.
And you're very busy too.
As usual, there's no end to it.
So you haven't just had 3 hours in hair and makeup like I just have, getting ready for this?
Yeah, I did it early this morning, hopefully it's staying.
Well, you should have seen me 3 hours ago. It was unrecognisable compared to what it's like now, okay? People, we have got a lot to get through this week. We've got AirLap coming up next week, and you're going to receive an email about our meeting for next week for AirLap people. The big news today, of course...
Project.
Yeah, I'm sure he had other ways in...
We will have more of Gladys in the hot seat at the ICAC inquiry later on. What she's doing wrong and what's going right in there. It's not looking real good today. Her coach for giving evidence was not very good, or she wasn't paying attention. I don't know. But first of all, people, we've got to start off with employment vacancies. Hello, Renee. Good to see you, Renee. Okay, we have got more jobs than we can poke a stick at over in Western Australia. Australia-wide investigations are looking for a factual investigator in Perth. Now, that's going to be for workers' compensation investigations, liability investigations, general insurance investigations, that sort of thing. Great team, Gloria and Tony at Australia-wide investigations. Get in contact with them. Tell them you're a graduate from the Australian Security Academy. They'll only be too happy to talk to you. So that's the first job vacancy. This one's in Sydney. M&A Investigations are actively seeking factual investigators in New South Wales. M&A Investigations are an established investigation agency, and they would really look forward to seeing your application over there. Kerrigan's in Melbourne. Melbourne? Oh boy. Yes, that's the Melbourne we all know and love. Every time it's mentioned, we've got to have those guys come on and cheer everybody up for Friday afternoon, because we work hard all week, and on Friday afternoon we like to have some fun. And Kerrigan's down in Melbourne. They're after factual and surveillance investigators in Melbourne and rural areas. Precise investigation, also in Melbourne. They're after factual investigators. Now, if you're looking at the Melbourne vacancies, it can get really confusing, not just... which drives you nuts if you're not spiritual like myself. It gets confusing because they ask for circumstance investigators. Now, the rest of the world calls them factual investigators. In Victoria, they say things like mal instead of maul, and pelican instead of pelican. That's just the way they talk in Victoria. So if you see that they're advertising for circumstance investigators, it just means they're factual investigators. For all these jobs vacancies, go to the Australian Private Investigator Corporate and Government Investigation jobs. You'll find jobs there that are from Seek, that are from Indeed, and also jobs like I've got coming up in a minute that aren't advertised anywhere else. Tabcorp in Brisbane, that's the lotto people. So if you buy a lotto ticket, whether it's, I don't know, Thursday night Powerball or Tuesday night, whatever it's called, they want an incident manager to investigate. Incidents, great fun in the lottery investigation world. Everybody thinks they won, and they didn't. So that ticket's from game number 24, not game number 3,316. I'm sorry, you didn't win it. They don't go on forever. That's what you're going to be explaining to confused people. ProCare are after investigators in Wollongong, Illawarra and the South Coast. Recommend you work for ProCare. Great people at ProCare. So certainly send your application through to them. And looks like we've got another one coming up. Oh, God, it's going to drive us mad today. Yes, every time we mention Melbourne, we've got to do that just to rub it in for the Victorians. Lovely vegetarian restaurant there playing outside. I had a lovely meal there that night. These guys, APSG, Out in the sticks in Melbourne, they want 2 experienced licensed factual investigators. Well, they actually told me they wanted circumstance investigators, but I translated it into English so everybody can understand that they want licensed factual investigators. So get in touch with APSG. All their contact details are here on this Facebook page. If you want a job as an investigator, there is an abundant supply of factual and surveillance investigation positions there. So get in touch with APSG. Quantum Corp, they want investigators and they'll take you on if you have no experience. If you're an Australian Security Academy graduate and you have the right attitude, and the right attitude is a positive attitude, a can-do attitude. I want to be an investigator. I'm passionate about it. I'm excited about it. If you're apologetic in your applications to these things, go, I'm not worthy, I'm probably not good enough, you probably have better people than me, and you act like that, and it's the end of the world, they're not going to take you on. If they see a sniff of that, they're not interested. They want passionate, positive people who go out and get answers. And if you come across as a person that would struggle to do that in your application, you're never going to get there. So keep that in mind. Be positive in your application. Quantum Corp's position vacant. You can see it straight written by the person in charge. Get in touch with them at this Facebook page. That's where you'll see that vacancy, Australian Private Investigator, Corporate Government Investigation Jobs. Now, here we go. This one in Tasmania, GHA, one of the most highly respected loss adjusting and investigation firms in Australia, is looking for a Tasmanian investigator based in either Hobart or in Launceston. So let's make everybody in Melbourne feel better with the Tasmanian.
And I just couldn't let go.
Yeah, that's what life's like in Tasmania. It's a country and it's Western. So in your application, when you apply for it, say, hi, GHA, I'm a licensed private investigator down in Tasmania. I like country and Western music, and I love the ad you put up on the Australian Security Academy Facebook page, because that's where I found your contact details. That's where they are. And I'd like to work for you as a licensed factual investigator. Now, what do they do at GHA? They do liability investigations. What's that mean? They do investigations for these people and for these snoozers and these people and all of these people. So those liability investigations are done for big insurance companies, and boy, do they have a lot of work at GHA, because they're professionals and they do a great job. So if you're based down where this is your Friday night,
And I just couldn't let go.
apply for that job. Now, things could be worse. So apply for the jobs, and then I won't have to play those things anymore. So if they're filled up, you don't have to listen to me crap on with stuff like that. Now, other jobs that are available this week, this one, GHA again. They're looking for liability investigators in Sydney. Come on, people, if you've recently graduated, you can do this. You know how to take statements. You learnt that off Pat Flynn and myself. You know how to do records of interview. Pat Flynn and I grilled you on it. It was 550 hours of hard slog study, and at GHA, they want you there. They respect your Australian Security Academy qualification, and they want you working for them. So take advantage of those jobs, people. Get on that Facebook jobs page and start applying for the work. So really amazing opportunities out there. All of those, except the one for the lotteries people, were for licensed private investigators, factual and surveillance, circumstance or factual investigators. And this one's not advertised anywhere else. If you're experienced in circumstance investigation, get onto ASPG. All their contacts are in the advertisement on this page. So that's our job vacancies for this week. Casey, what have you got for us this week?
I have my recent tip of the week, but first I wanted to talk about some training I've done this morning, which was as usual, a fire hose of information whenever you're sitting in your office watching a Zoom meeting, having someone give you a heap of information. But this week, for those who don't know, is actually Australian Cyber Week, and AusCyber, in conjunction with OSINT Combine, had put together a training session today on open source intelligence, and that was fantastic. I love OSINT Combine. They have some fantastic information. They're based in Australia, so you don't have to worry about having American or European tools thrown at you, because even though they are across the world as well, they really concentrate on Australian training. So it was a fantastic panel that I saw just before I came on here. I would love to name them all, but I can't. And they're all on LinkedIn. I always suggest that people keep an eye out, because this training was free as part of the Cyber Week. So, and I find out about these things on LinkedIn. As you can see, like Mike puts up stuff all the time. There's so many free resources out there that we can always take advantage of. And no matter how far down the line you are in your investigation career, whether you're an old hat and you've been investigating for 25 years or someone that's new, there's always new information out there, and there are always different perspectives. So being able to just watch even an hour of something whenever you can, I think really benefits you in your career. And this week, I'm going to talk about exif data. So often we're given images as part of a case that we've been given, whether that be through an agency that we work for or an agency that you are in-house investigator for. So if you get a digital image, there is data embedded in that image that you can pull out. And it's not always there. For example, if you're found a Facebook profile and you try and extract some exif data from there, Facebook remove all of that exif data. If it goes through somewhere like any of the encrypted messaging services like Signal or Telegram, they tend to remove the exif data as well. So it has to be, sometimes you have to get lucky and have to be given an image that hasn't been through any of that kind of stuff. Hi, Jamie.
G'day, Jamie.
And so to check out some exif data, there's this thing called Jeffrey's Image Metadata Viewer, and that's the website just above it. So as Mike always says, that we replay this video. It's on all of the Australian Security Academy socials, including the YouTube. So just pause it and type that in, or you can just Google Jeffrey's Image Metadata Viewer and that'll come straight up. It's a really simple tool to use. You just put your image in there. And here's one I did. It's just a really simple image of the ocean. And I took that. Apparently, I took it on November 29th, 2020. And as you can see, it's got the latitude and longitude there as well. So it gives you location. And you can click on it underneath. It says map via embedded coordinates. So you can click on any of the maps and it'll show you exactly where that location is. It shows you what camera it was taken on. It was an XS Max. It was taken from the back camera, and it gives you a heap of information. You could keep, this is just a screenshot, but if you kept scrolling down, there's even more information on there. And it shows you here when you click on the map. So I click on Google to show where the latitude and longitude is, and it'll bring up this map. So it's at Amity Point. This is at Stradbroke Island. So this is information, just those extra pivot points that you can get as part of your investigation. Just that little bit of extra information, just even knowing what kind of phone somebody has is definitely valuable information. And certainly, of course, maps are fantastic information. I know I watched a case that an investigator did in America where a lady's drug dealer had taken a picture of her just before she disappeared in a park. He sent that picture to police as he was trying to help with the investigation, probably to try and prove his own innocence. And he said it was at a certain park, and the exif data revealed otherwise. It was at a completely different park, and that led down a whole different rabbit hole, which was just always fantastic information. And again, wonderful pivot points for your investigation. And that's
Fantastic. Fantastic, Casey. Now, if you've enjoyed Casey's presentations, which have been mixed into our Friday SpyCuriouses over the past 103 episodes, what we've been doing this week for compliance with the Victorian Police Licensing Regulation Division requirements that we do online 24 hours of live training, we've been making videos for that live training. And one of them relates to locate subjects. I'll just show it to you. It's on our Australian Security Academy YouTube channel. So you go to our Australian Security Academy YouTube channel and you watch the episode about locate subjects. So I'll just bring it up. You have to go and do a statement from a person. That's up to you. I don't know any Matthews. And he's
my alumni from the Australian Security Academy who's done
through. Or now the other way, private investment. So all of Casey's presentations that you have seen that go for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes on this Friday afternoon program are in that locate subjects video. Now, again, like I say, if you're an Australian Security Academy student, you have access to that. And because it's live, it's still live for anyone to access this week. We don't give too much away. We've got a ton of stuff we don't give access to the general public to as well. But in relation to what Casey's done there, if you go to the channel and it's episode 94, locate subjects, and you hit on show more. So you go to episode 94 of the Australian YouTube channel on show more. You will see under the show more in the description links to every single one of Casey's 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute hints on OSINT. They're all there. You don't have to go searching through hours of my hilarious jokes and funny little asides and amazing things that I do and get distracted by that. You can go straight to the source and Casey will be on those links talking about her weekly things. So it's really handy for you to go back to and have a look at it, go straight to the start of where Casey's talking about it. It's a bit sad that they don't see my funny parts, isn't it, Casey?
Absolutely devastating.
Yeah, devastating. All right. So the big news today is the ICAC inquiry over in Sydney, and I don't have any Sydney music, unfortunately. Yeah, good idea. We should have joke of the day, Jamie.
Just a whole stream of your
Well, joke of the day is over at here, so let's have a
Myself and my office know that that was something he cared about.
But something that you and he had communications directly with each other. Is that
as
right?
I would other local members on projects in their electorates.
You at least agree, don't you, that in relation to Mr. McQuarrie,
Now, Mr. Robertson, who is cross-examining the former Premier, because I can't say her name, let's call her Gladys, which is Casey's grandmother's name. Anyway, Mr. Robertson is being really ice cold. He's being monotone and methodical, and he's not letting any dodged answers slip by, and he's got one of those voices that's absolutely children's story time voice that could just put you to sleep. As you listen to him, you just sort of start nodding off, but that's what he's like. Okay, so he starts questioning the former Premier, and he's got his agenda of where he's going to go. And he refers to recording 1,418, and not 1 second does she say, well, mate, that was back in 2018. How am I supposed to remember that conversation? She can stick up for herself, but she doesn't in the right places. And where she does stick up for herself, she goes wandering off into a whole lot of irrelevant stuff. And the presiding magistrate says, no, please answer the question. The witness will answer the question, because the cross-examiner says to the magistrate, can you get the witness to answer the question? So he's really being cold, cool, calm, unemotional, going through step by step with what he wants to come out. If she stuck with yes, no, and I don't know, instead of making his job easy for him, life would be a whole lot better for her. You don't go into an ICAC hearing or a court cross-examination thinking, oh, I'm a nice person. They'll all understand that, and they'll all know and realise that I'm so nice if I blab on and, extrapolate and keep going on. No, you'll just hang yourself with more rope. Don't do it. You don't have to help them jail you. Right? So make life hard for them. He's there asking really complicated, lengthy questions. What Gladys should be doing is going, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? And just make things really hard instead of, going with the flow. Look, over the weekend, Gladys, give me a call. Just pick up the phone, right? I'll run you through it. Okay, you just got to say yes, no, and I don't know. And when he comes to recording number 2,475, made in 2016, we're going to say, look, I was running a state as a premier. How am I supposed to remember a 30-second conversation on the way to the airport flying to New York when I'm, still got jet lag from coming back from Sri Lanka? She's got to learn to defend herself, not, let them bulldoze her. So that's really sad to see that. She got bugger all coaching from her side, and she's just like been a lamb to the slaughter today. It's been awful to watch, really awful. But Mr. Robertson, who's getting paid a fortune, he's going to make a reputation and a half for himself, that bloke, as the unemotional, methodical questioner who doesn't let anything go. He has monotone. He is exactly the same all the way through it. He doesn't raise his voice. You want to go to sleep just listening to him. You are getting dizzy as he looks at his crystal ball for his next question and hypnotizes you. That's what is happening. So don't fall for that, people. If ever you have to go to court, you have in your Australian Security Academy course a 1-hour presentation that you can download and keep. It tells you how to defend yourself in the witness box, how not to be crucified in the witness box, and not to be bullied in the witness box. So they are very important issues if you're facing that. Under no circumstances do you ever think, I'm a nice person. I go to church every Saturday night and, I give to the little children's charity, so the court's going to think I'm a wonderful person. Not when this guy comes after you. He's just got to go through it slowly and emotionally and tear you apart. Right? He's very well prepared, and it's a corruption inquiry, and it's a serious matter. So you don't take your own freedom, your own reputation, your own future lightly. I don't, right? And you shouldn't if you're going into the witness box. Last week, I had a person week before last, I had a person offer me a bribe of $145 per student to skirt round the Victorian Police Licensing Regulation Division rules for training organisations in Victoria. Now, he'd offered that to someone else the day before, and I was his second choice, but I got offered that. Now, I can go to court on that, and I can say my side of it. I had nothing to do with it. He rang me up. Oh, I've got the screenshot of the phone with his phone number on it. I've got the length of the phone conversation. I've got my notes on it. My notes are really important because we've said that in our training course this week. You do your notes properly, right? And my notes are in I said, he said format, and 3 times, uninvited. I didn't want to know about it. I got offered $145 to do a dodgy on private investigation students trained in New South Wales in Victoria. And I wasn't having it. and neither was the person that he offered it to the day before, and neither ASQA, the national regulator, who have rules against that sort of thing, and neither the Victorian Police Licensing Regulation Division. And when the Victorian Police Fraud Squad start having a look at this and they go, yep, that's fraud by deception in relation to what went on there since the 20th April 2020 and the other place that was complicit in it, they are really facing going to court on it. Now, they're ex-detectives, so they'll know what to say in court. Yes, no, and I don't know, whatever. But they'll do a better job than Gladys is doing today. So if you're going to court, get in touch with me, play the video, and student after student, from the feedback we get when we've gone to a hearing, when we've gone to a court, when we've gone to an industrial tribunal. I've told you in here, I've been to the gas tribunal. Didn't even know it existed. The same things happen. You'll be questioned by the person in charge. Just 2 weeks ago, you saw a financial crime investigator in this room, very experienced, highly qualified financial crime investigators, say that she gave evidence in an inquiry into the Star Casino. And it got into all sorts of trouble there at the Star Casino. But when she was giving her evidence from the witness box, the magistrate who was presiding was clarifying matters as the evidence came out. So her experience in the witness box on that day was one of, yes, okay, these are all the financials, this, that, and the other. And it was one of quite reasonable, pleasant experience. Not that it's daunting going into it, it very much so is. I was in the witness box one day in court, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Magistrates get old and they start to lose touch. And the matter was over a burglary of a warehouse freezer area where some fish were stolen. And I'm in the witness box being led through my evidence in chief, and they asked me what was stolen, and I had to refer to my notes because there was a lot of stuff stolen because it was an insurance claim, large one. And I was given permission. It was in Victoria, and I go, well, there was 400 kilograms of snapper, 250 kilograms of abalone, 25 kilos of rock lobster, 16 kilos of mussels, says 10 kilos of cockles, and this voice up in the witness box, up in the magistrate's chair behind me went, cockles and mussels, alive, oh. The whole court went silent. Anyway, about a week later, that magistrate retired. Ooh, he wasn't doing it to be funny. He wasn't even listening. But anyway, you have some funny, strange experiences in those witness boxes. So be prepared for it. Don't think it's just going to be a walk in the park because you are a nice person. Coming up next week, people, and you'll receive an email about it, we have, when it works, our second industry association meeting for AirLab. Now, it's going to be our last half an hour meeting. I didn't realise it was going to be so popular last time. And the thing on the agenda last time was about licensing in New South Wales and getting rid of the provisional licence application for private investigators in New South Wales. Now, people came into it and I was really pleased. They gave their input, they gave their expectations, and I'm going to be asking people to do that for the final time as we set our industry association AirLab up. In the process of that next week, with our Executive Vice President, Casey, Pat, myself, we are going to be asking what you really want to get out of the industry association and what it can do for you. Now, remember, it's a free industry association, costs nothing to be a member of, that's fine. It's very well financed and supported. But what we're looking for is what you want it, where you want it to go. Now, we've been probably in the longest period that we will ever have of between drinks on the first meeting and the next one. It's been some 6 weeks because of how the first Friday of the month extended at this time of year. But then they're going to come very quickly after that. My expectation is we will have to have longer meetings than half an hour or separate meetings where people can network, that sort of thing. I just can't forward plan everything because, as I just explained to you, I don't have a crystal ball which I can consult with and get the correct answers every time I look at it. Well, I can pretend I do, but if my wife catches me with her crystal ball, I'll be in really big trouble. So we'll pretend I don't. So you'll get an email if you're an Australian Security Academy graduate or student who is a member of AirLap to attend next week. You'll be attending a meeting when Casey and I are in another meeting. And we've got to go to a meeting at 2 o'clock, which is this one. Yes, that's tight, but we're meeting our commitment to having the meeting and we haven't cancelled it and we're still going to do it because we need to get this stuff. You might get a little survey or something like that beforehand, and we might get people to say, well, people, can you put up your hand if you agree with that? Like Renee's just done. I've just done for Renee. She doesn't agree with anything I said, but she's just put up her hand there. Right. So we will discuss that at our meeting next week and try and lay out the future for AirLap. So that's what's happened there. Those jobs, get onto those jobs in Melbourne and Tasmania, New South Wales, Western Australia. Get onto them. Those people, they want to talk to you. Don't be negative about it. We have videos that I'm going to be playing this week about how to get a job in investigations for our students. And one of the teachers in that says, just walk in there like you own the place and walk straight through it. They want you more than you need them. They want quality investigators who have been trained properly. The Australian Security Academy, you have been trained properly. There's no dodgy deal between an RTO in New South Wales and an RTO in Victoria. And give me, this is where you have to earn it. And those employers, they know where they get a better investigator from and whose qualification counts. So take advantage of those jobs. They're there for the taking. And people, that's our 30 minutes of investigations this week. Casey and I will see you next week for SpyCurious. Look forward to seeing you then, don't we, Casey?
Yes, always.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.
That's the way they end every week in investigations all around the world, is all units return home. I just can't resist. Goodbye, everybody in Melbourne. Goodbye.
And a home, and I just couldn't let go.
Goodbye, everybody in Tasmania. We'll see you again next Friday, 2 o'clock. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.